أهلا بكم. النهاردة الدرس رقم 56 من دروس تعلم اللغة الإنجليزية، وهنتكلم على إزاي أستخدم الكونكتور لإضافة معلومة جديدة أو إضافة تفاصيل جديدة للجملة الإنجليزية. Hello and welcome. Today is lesson 56 and I am going to talk about how to use connectors, to give more details or more information. So let's start. زي ما احنا شايفين قدامنا connectors or conjunctions. We call these connectors explanatory. Explanatory connectors. These connectors can be used to give more details about the idea being developed. A connector example. In other words, in short, above all, at least, basically, specially, essentially, in general, in particular, more or less. This is the first one. Of course, with sentences to explain. طبعا احنا بنجيب الكونكتور وبنجيب جمل معاه بتشرح المعنى. In other words, the problem, in other words, is to rebuild the relationship. She said the movie was a bit predictable. In other words, she didn't like it. In other words, she must give up singing. He became, in other words, a great hero. Next one. In short, the meaning in short didn't produce the results I expected. In short, he wants to win more than anyone you could name. In short, he wants it to run on you. The man, in short, is not to be trusted. Next one, above all. Above all. The mission of the police is, above all, to protect the people and keep the order. The tall building towered above all the others. Love is, above all, the gift of oneself. Above all, I'd like to thank my family. Above all, I'd say I value kindness. At least, well, at least, we know Frank is not our side. Fortune knocks once at least at every man's door. Failure is a great enterprise, is at least a noble fault. The picture is worth at least 20 pounds. You will have to wait at least an hour. Basically, the sun is basically made up of hydrogen. The party's principles are basically egalitarian. The party's principles are basically egalitarian. The official report basically exonerated everyone. The two approaches are basically very similar. Basically, the system ought to have worked. I used to see him every night, basically. Especially, okay, next one. Especially, none of us can sleep, especially if you play the music that loud. I love animals, comma, especially dogs. I like walking, comma, especially in the morning. The government aims to improve public services, especially education. Next one, essentially, okay? Essentially, the teacher is a guide, but essentially the students should learn on their own. Most raw materials in the world are essentially unlimited. Pallet is essentially a middle-class interest. Essentially, vines and grapes need water, heat, and light. Essentially, comma, we are talking about the Cold War period. In general, next one, in general, people, comma, in general, comma, eat too many calories. He had little pity for humanity in general. In general, comma, a plain carpet makes a room look bigger. I think, in general, the report reads well. Number 9, in particular, I don't want to go anywhere in particular. I have nothing in particular to do tomorrow. He said job hunters in particular often make 3 common mistakes. The conference is not in favor of one country in particular. All of us, women in particular, are facing a lot of conflicts. Number 10, more or less. More or less. There were 20 people in line at the bank, more or less. The conference is more or less over. He more or less started the firm. I was meeting these chaps who were mostly more or less my own age. The population remained more or less static. I have more or less finished reading the book. He more or less accused me of lying. This is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. And I always wish you all the best. Goodbye.